From SF Land, this is Dorking Out, a podcast for people who love to dork out about movies, TV, and everything pop culture.
Welcome to episode 143 of Dorking Out. My name is Sonia Mansfield, and in this episode, I am dorking out about my favorites of 2018 with my podcasting sister from another mister and the new co-host of Dorking Out. How long can I keep calling you that? Is it like a year? Is it like a honeymoon thing? Forever.
Forever, yes.
It's Margo D from Book vs. Movie, the Best Neighbor podcast, Fit Bottom Girls, and Not Fade Away. Thanks, Margo, for I was just going to say thanks for coming on the show, but you're going to be on every week.
I know, and I'm so excited. Hello, everybody. I'm so excited about this. Yay.
So we're going to talk about our favorite movies and TV shows or anything we really want to for 2018, and I think we can agree 2018 can fuck off, right?
You know me personally, so you could speak for me, Jeff. Yeah. Best for that. Yes. 2018 can seriously go fuck itself.
Yeah.
You were one of the best parts of it, but yeah.
I would agree with that. I think you are the best part of this year as well. Yeah. But I did see some good movies and some good TV shows, so there's something. There's something good. So we each made a list of 10, and if we have matches, we're just gonna kind of table it and we'll move it on and move it to if it's higher up on someone's list.
Okay, that sounds good to me.
Okay. Do you want to go first? You want me to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay.
So my number 10, I wanted to get, a plethora of ideas here. I didn't want it to sound too, Entertainment Weekly top 10-ish. And I wanted to be a little more interesting.
Good call.
And honestly, guys, these are the 10 things I really loved the most this year.
Yeah.
And I loved a lot of different things. So number 10. That's
why we say our favorites, not the best.
No, thank you. These were our favorites. So it's a show from YouTube Red, and I actually subscribed to YouTube for a couple of months, paid money for it to get the show, and it's Cobra Kai.
Oh, I didn't see it.
Oh my God. Do you like The Karate Kid?
I do.
It's one of my movies, if somebody doesn't like The Karate Kid or doesn't really know it, I kind of judge them.
Yeah, you're like, we can't be friends.
Yeah, what's wrong with you? You don't know that song, You're the Best Around? Why not?
You're the best around.
So Cobra Kai is set in modern day times in that town, and Ralph Macchio is there. William Zabka is there. They're playing the same characters they played in that 1984 movie. And Macchio is a total asshole now. He's very, very successful, but he's kind of a jerk, and he's a car salesman. And William Zabka is down on his luck. He's a drunk. He has money issues, ex-wife issues. And then he basically goes to a strip mall and starts his own Cobra Kai martial arts thing.
Okay.
And he brings out Daniel basically from retirement to then they're going to meet Biggie and Tupac.
Right.
And it's
hopefully with a happier ending.
Well, we'll see. Well, you have to see. There's 10 episodes. I plowed through it. It was a lot of nostalgia, but I have to tell you, Macchio and Zabka are great actors, and they
there's
look
a reason
great.
Why they were in everything in the 80s.
Exactly. And there's the reason why their chemistry really works now. I mean, they got the real people, and it looks very much like a strip mall. Where he sets up the Cobra Kai thing. They make it modern, they have girls in the class too. But they have Martin Kove, who was the douchebag sensei. He comes back for a couple of episodes. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, it's a really modern take on this story. Yeah, of course, the two leads, their wives are 15 years younger than them or 20 years younger than them. It's Hollywood.
Right.
But I just loved it. I love The Karate Kid. I don't even watch the other ones. I just like the original one. And it just brought back a lot of nostalgia for me. But I just thought, some nostalgia and going back to it doesn't have to suck. It can actually mean something. And I really feel like they brought it. So that's my number 10, Cobra Kai.
Well, it doesn't sound like it's nostalgia for nostalgia's sake. It's
right.
They're telling a new story.
Exactly.
but using old characters, and I think that's really cool, and I really should subscribe so that I can watch it because I really did love The Karate Kid a lot. Similar to you, I didn't love the other ones, but I really did
Right.
love that first one, so I should go back.
I thought it was worth it, and they have a second season. It got millions and millions of downloads. I mean,
Right.
people were streams. Excuse me. People were watching it, and I honestly think like if it were on Hulu or something like that, it would have been an even bigger hit.
Right.
But it's great. I really enjoyed it.
Are each episode 30 minutes?
Yeah, something like that.
Perfect. Okay, I'll do it. So number 10 on my list is a TV show too, and it's Disenchantment on Netflix. Did you watch this one?
No.
It's the animated show from Matt Groening, who of course did The Simpsons and Futurama. And those shows, especially the early seasons of The Simpsons, were like some of my favorite TV ever. So I couldn't wait to watch Disenchantment. And I thought the first episode was, there's like 10 episodes. I thought the first one was really, really funny, and the second one, not as much. And then as the show went on, I found myself kind of laughing less and less, but I was super invested in the story, which is it's set in like a medieval fairy tale land, and this princess, she's like this alcoholic princess. She's basically a Bender type from Futurama. And she's got like an elf that's like her BFF, and then like a little demon that's always encouraging her to do bad things, basically. And when the first season was over, I wasn't sure if I loved it. And then I just kind of found myself going back to it over and over and spending more time with it and loving it. And I was like, no, I actually do love this.
Oh, wow. I didn't see one episode.
I think it's really fun. It got like mixed reviews from people, but I really liked it. I liked that the lead character was a woman, for one thing. That was nice of them for once. Mm-hmm. And she's funny. Like, she's not like the straight woman like Leela in Futurama, or like Marge, or even Lisa. Like, they're all kind of the straight ones, you know? Mm-hmm. And all the men are like, whoa, they're so hilarious. And they're the ones that you buy the T-shirts with all their slogans or whatever. But she's the lead. She's the funniest. It's voiced by Abby Jacobs from Broad City.
Oh, I love her.
Yeah. It's really good. I think it's really fun. And it actually has like moments that are kind of touching and sweet. But it's also dark and not as family friendly, maybe, as, you know, the broadcast equivalents, but I really liked it. So that's my number 10, Disenchantment.
That's awesome. Okay, so my number 9, it's TV, and I believe this was AMC. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry, but I think it was AMC. It's Killing Eve, and it's with Sandra Oh and Jodie Comer. And Sandra Oh plays this American who lives in England, and she's an MI5 officer, and she's basically following around this assassin all over Europe. And this assassin is like the super sexy woman who's a total narcissist and a total psycho. And it's every episode ended with a cliffhanger. I never watched Grey's Anatomy. I wasn't really that fluent in Sandra Oh. I mean, I know she has her fans. I wasn't that familiar with her work, but it was exciting. It had great acting. It had great action. It was just set in Europe. It's just like incredible locations, and it was thrilling. And I absolutely loved it. And I hope they get a second season. I think they do. But she was nominated for an Emmy Award, and she was the first Asian American woman nominated for an acting. I mean, which is just appalling.
Right.
But I don't know if you saw the show or not, but I absolutely loved it.
I have not seen the show, which is probably the only reason it's not on my list. I saw previews for that, and I thought, oh, I'm going to watch the shit out of that, and I still haven't watched it yet.
It's still there, so definitely you can still, if you have some time over the holiday break, I definitely say check it out. It's so worth it.
Well, I think it even popped up on, isn't it on Netflix now too? I think maybe
Netflix or Amazon.
Yeah, it popped up on something where I was like, oh, sweet, and like I put it on my list. So it's literally on my list, and I really want to watch that one because I think it looks awesome. And I like Sandra Oh. I actually watched the first 2 or 3 seasons of Grey's Anatomy, and then
Really?
kind of was like, yeah, but then it became like more work to watch it than I wanted to give
Yeah.
it, and I was like, meh. I wasn't really watching it. It was one of those ones that I was recording, and it was just sitting on the recorder for a really long time, and then I'd put it on like while I was doing laundry or something, and you wander off and you forget that it was on, that kind of watching. But it wasn't my jam. I think when Katherine Heigl's character started having sex with ghosts, literally that was a thing that happened on the show, I was like, I'm ready to tap out. I'm going to tap out on this one.
I was in a really miserable job when that show was really popular, and that's the only thing people wanted to talk about. So I think I kind of hated that show for a really weird reason. Like, I never allowed myself to watch it because, like, that's all these assholes talk about Grey's Anatomy. I'm not gonna even watch it.
Fuck these people and fuck this show. Yeah, I get it.
That'll do them.
That'll show them.
Wow.
So number 9 on my list is Annihilation. Did you see Annihilation?
I never saw it. No.
Okay, so this is really good. It's directed by Alex Garland. He's the same director who did Ex Machina, and it's based on the novel by Jeff Vandermeer, and it stars Natalie Portman, Tessa Thompson, Gina Rodriguez, and Jennifer Jason Leigh, and it's got Oscar Isaac. I love Oscar Isaac. And it's got like these 5 women from different scientific backgrounds, and they're all investigating something called the Shimmer. And it's kind of like a weird force field, almost like a bubble that it alters people's DNA, everything's DNA that it touches. And so the movie has these crazy amazing like visual effects. It's got this really great score and really good performances all around, and it's kind of cool that it's a sci-fi movie with all women, almost all women, which is very cool to me. But it's also super creepy, like really intriguing, and it's got this like kind of like thought-driven, idea-driven sci-fi, not just like, ooh, visual effects sci-fi. Like there's some interesting ideas behind it, and it's got like one of those endings where I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? Like that kind of ending that I really like. Because then it's just one of those movies that you're thinking about for days afterwards. You're like, oh, what does that mean? I think this means this and this means that. And it's really, really good movie. And I think it's streaming right now on Amazon Prime. So if you haven't seen it,
I gotta check it out.
You should watch it.
It's one of those, I co-host Book versus Movie, and it's one of the ones that when that movie came out, a lot of people asked for it. And I always say that, to people, like, once it's streaming, we can think about it.
Yeah.
So now that you've recommended it, I think I need to check out the movie.
I think it's a really, really great movie, and I haven't read like a ton of best of lists, but I feel like it should be. I feel like it was underappreciated this year. Like this movie should have been a bigger deal. It's very interesting and really cool looking, and it's got this really amazing cast. It's a good one.
Awesome. So my number 8 is a musical that happened live on television. I don't know if you saw this.
I didn't, but I know what you're talking about.
I think you know. You may. Do you really though? So there's been a few over the last few years, and I thought Grease was really fun. Was it good? Who knows? I thought it was just fun. And then there's some that are just like Peter Pan was a piece of shit. That I couldn't take that one. So this came out, I think it was around Easter. It was Jesus Christ Superstar.
Mm-hmm. I didn't see it.
Oh my God. It's John Legend, Sarah Bareilles, Alice Cooper shows up. Brandon Victor Dixon, who plays Judas. It was beautiful. I mean, it was filmed. It was in Brooklyn. It was live in Brooklyn at this huge kind of arena warehouse kind of thing. It's a great use of the audience. It was a great use of the space. The songs are awesome. I grew up with these songs. So I that was part of my interest in it. It was also just beautifully filmed. And the very climax where Jesus dies and goes to heaven, spoiler.
Spoilers, Margo.
The resurrection is a spoiler. It's actually, honest to God, one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen on TV ever. It was gorgeous. Like the lighting and the choices that they made. I thought Sarah Bareilles, when she sings, I don't know how to love him. I can't sing. She can. I cried my goddamn eyes out. Like a child, I sobbed. John Legend's acting, but his singing is great.
Yeah.
It was a really cool production. It felt downtown, and yet it had a big audience. And it's this, now it's a network production. They can't do anything on networks, right?
Right.
They tend to be kind of strict, but it felt edgy. And I don't know, like I said, like, especially like the last third of it was just some of the best live television I've ever seen. Like, it was totally worth it.
I need to go back and watch it. I need to watch it. It's stupid that I haven't seen it.
It's great.
I like their idea of doing like the live shows.
Yeah.
Like Grease, they did Rocky Horror, like Peter Pan. I think they did Sound of Music too. They're all they've been kind of fails, to be honest. And I think that's the reason I didn't watch this one, because the other ones really disappointed me. But I appreciate the idea of trying to create something that we can all watch together live that isn't an award show or sporting event. So
also like living in New York and also in San Francisco, but they have live shows you can see, like that's the whole point you want to be here. But if you want to go to a Broadway show, even the cheap seats are like $75. It's expensive, and the seats are uncomfortable, and you don't know if it's going to be a good show or not. Now, I like that they give that experience to everybody, millions of people, to like watch it from home. Then they're going to be like, I need to go see a local production. I need to see something live. There's something exciting about it. And it's hard to capture that essence. And like I said, the very last scene is one of the most beautiful I've ever seen in my life. So it was totally worth it. So that's why I gave it my number 8. It just went above and beyond.
I think that you could stream it too on all kinds of different platforms. So So I will definitely find it. So on the flip side of that, my number 8 is Black Panther.
My God, that's on my list too.
Okay, then I will table Black Panther.
Okay,
until
that's my number 2.
Okay, we'll wait till we get to your number 2 to talk about it then. So now we'll just go up to whatever your number 7 is.
So my number 7, and I had an injury this year, so I didn't get to go to the movies as much, but I did get to see this, and it's a documentary, and it's called Identical Strangers, and it's about these 3 guys.
Yes.
They are identical triplets, and they don't meet each other until they're like 18, 19 years old, maybe 20. They're very young, but they were all adopted from an orphanage in New York City separately. And they were all, the 3 of them grew up in very different homes, different economic environments, different ways of parenting. I don't want to give away too much because the best thing is to not know. But they're identical. They look exactly alike. And this was in the 80s. So like they became a New York Post story, and then they became famous in New York. And so eventually like they found each other, and then they became a part of each other's lives. And they all got married and had kids, and they invested in a restaurant. And I'd never even heard of it. It's a
Me
steakhouse.
neither.
Yeah. And I didn't even know. And I'm a New Yorker. I should have known about this. But it was like this story I never heard of. And did you see the movie?
Yeah, I did. I loved it.
It
almost made my list.
It's about, it tries to answer that question, nature versus nurture. And you think you get an answer, and then they whip you around. And throw something at you.
What I loved about it was you think you know what it's about. So you go in and you're like, it's about this. And it's like, well, actually, maybe it's about this. And you're like, okay, it's about this. Or maybe it's about this. Like, it never gives up the game, I guess.
Right.
Like, it keeps changing what it is in a good way. And it's such an interesting story, and one that I was like, I can't believe I never heard this before.
And that's what I love about documentaries.
Yeah. That's going to come up again.
Give me a real story.
That's going to come up again with one of my picks later in my list, which is I can't believe I didn't know this story before. It makes me feel dumb.
All right. So it's available on streaming, I think Amazon and whatever. So it's called Identical Strangers, and definitely check it out.
Yeah, Three Identical Strangers.
Three Identical
Yeah.
Strangers.
Yeah. Oh, so good. I saw that one at the Alamo. Is that where you saw it?
Yep, exactly.
Mm-hmm. I saw a preview for that in front of another movie, and I was like, oh, shit, that's movies for me.
I had a friend who was like, I hear this is good. Like, she's just somebody I go to the movies with once in a while just to, catch up. And I walked in with knowing nothing, which I think is the best thing sometimes. Just let the movie happen. Yeah. And I was just completely drawn in the whole time. Yeah.
Isn't it? Have you always been someone who really liked documentaries?
Yes.
Me too. And I love that I no longer have to wait for like Friday Night Dateline or something to like get get some good documentaries. It's one of the awesome things about like Netflix and all these streaming services is more people are doing this. And some of them are getting theatrical releases, and that's really cool. And they're telling such good stories, and I'm into it. I'm here for it.
Me too.
So number 7 on my list, funny enough, is a documentary series called Dogs on Netflix.
Oh, yes. I loved this.
It was this year's Queer Eye for me in that it made me cry stupid hard every single episode. And not because dogs die, not because of that. Just when I saw the trailer for this, I was like, oh, they made a show just for me because I'm a huge animal lover. I love all the animals, and I have a dog, and I knew it was going to make me cry, and it did. Like every single episode, there's an episode about children with special needs receiving their service dogs that just turned me into a blubbering wreck. There's an episode about a couple that's basically trying to save every stray dog in Costa Rica. There's a woman in New York who drives all the way to Texas to rescue dogs from their shelter and bring them back to New York and get them adopted. They tell all these really amazing stories, but it's not just about the dogs. It's also kind of the stories around the dogs. Did you watch them?
Oh, did I watch them? There's an episode. Is it the dog named Ice? It's a golden retriever. Yes. Mm-hmm. So they're in Lake Como, Italy. And I always think of that like that's where George Clooney lives and hangs out. But this is a guy who lives there with his family, and he owns a restaurant, and he just like goes out and fishes every day. And he has this beautiful golden retriever named Ice. And Ice is like the town dog. Everybody loves Ice. And if you've ever had a golden retriever, like I grew up with them, they're the best dogs ever. They're just so loving, lovers. Sweet. And spoiler, so at the very, very, very end, he's going off to fish, and there's not as much fishing as there used to be, and all this stuff. And all of a sudden, he just yells from his little lone boat, "Ice, Ice!" And then you're like, "Fuck! Did something happen to Ice?
Yeah.
I can't live with myself." And then Ice shows up. He's fine.
He's totally fine. And the guy's like, "Oh, I'm gonna build a little shelter on the boat for him, so he'll be more comfortable." And I'm like,
I dreamed about Ice.
Yeah.
Like that night. Like I just that was the best. And it was the same thing. Like they were going right for my heartstrings with that show.
And it totally worked. I like things that we all need. Everybody's very angry right now for good reason. And I like that there's something like this that, come on, everybody loves dogs. If you don't love dogs, you're a fucking monster.
You're a monster.
Yeah.
There's no other word for it.
And I just like that it's not just the story about the dog. So like the one about the kids with special needs, it's not just, and then they get their dog. It's how children with special needs, like how they interact, why they need something like this. What are the benefits of this? Like raising a child with special needs, maybe that one hit a little close to home for me because I have a son who's autistic, but it's a good example, like, or the couple in Costa Rica that's trying to save like literally thousands of stray dogs. And there's people who work there and they're super poor and they're having medical issues, and it's just about like the state of that country and like the medical profession too. And it's just telling all, the little village in Italy and how there aren't as many fish as there used to be from overfishing.
Right.
And they're telling all these little different stories, and they're using dogs as the vehicle. And I think that's really cool.
And they're beautifully filmed.
Beautiful. Like if you watch what's Chef's Table or Cooked or any of those too, they're just that weird, like just gorgeous for probably was it like 4K and super HD, just beautiful to look at.
Yeah, sure. I don't know any of that.
Yeah, I don't know any of that stuff either. If my husband was here, he'd be like, "Oh, you're so stupid. It's this." But they're very beautiful to look at. It's really good. And like I said, this year's Queer Eye just made me cry and cry and cry. And that's my
awesome.
number 7. What's your number 6?
That's awesome. So my number 6, it's from Hulu. It's a Hulu show, and it's called Castle Rock.
Oh, Castle Rock is so good.
Oh my God. It's the Stephen King universe. I'm a Stephen King geek. So that's just the jelly to my jam. I gotta have it. And it was a really good show. Some of the episodes are better than the others. I mean, was it always scary and whatever? But there's one episode that's called The Queen.
Mm-hmm.
And Sissy Spacek plays a person who has early stages. She's in the early stages of dementia. And in this one particular hour of television, it's a Stephen King story. So she's in a haunted house and weird things are happening, but she also has dementia, and Sissy Spacek is acting the whole time, and you don't know, and she doesn't know what's real and what's haunted and what's an illusion in her mind and what is happening in the past and what is happening in the present. And she acts she's acting in different parts of her life. Sometimes they have different actors playing, like Alan Panghorn. They have the younger version of him who's her boyfriend versus the older version, but she's always there. Mm-hmm. It is a tour de force of acting. Yeah. She is on a whole other level. And then the way it ends, which I won't spoil, you have to see it for yourself. It's like, especially if you're a Stephen King person, it's a sucker punch. Mm-hmm. It just knocks your wind out of you. And it's one of the best hours of television, I think, that happened all year.
I would agree with that.
And I think it's superlative. And Sissy Spacek, if she doesn't get an Emmy for that, or at least a nomination, like, there is no justice. I just think she's amazing. And so that's my number 6, Castle Rock. But especially because of the episode The Queen. That's what set it over.
So that wasn't on my list because I knew it was going to be on your list.
Yay!
Really loved Castle Rock, and I loved that episode in particular because it was so scary for other reasons other than like creepy supernatural reasons. Like the idea of losing your mind is really scary. And yeah, she acts the shit out of that.
Oh, the living shit out of it.
It was so good. And I really liked Melanie Lipnitsky.
Yes.
Is that how you pronounce her last name? I suck at last names, but
I know.
She's my favorite thing in the show besides Sissy Spacek.
I would say this, you guys, if you do watch it, if you haven't seen it before, if you go to Hulu and you start watching it, get the captions. Yeah. Because they talk very low. It's very hard to hear what people are saying.
That's a great suggestion.
So definitely do that. Put the captions on because you're not going to understand. But if you're a Stephen King geek, there's tons of Easter eggs throughout the whole thing. And it's just, it was appointment television for me every week. And by the way, my friend Dina from Twisted Philly, she and I recapped it on Book versus Movie. So you could listen to our recaps on it there. But
and anyway, you didn't have to be a Stephen King super geek to like it either, because as I told you before, like I haven't read any Stephen King really. I read Pet Sematary when I was like in high school or something, super young. So that's the only Stephen King I've read, and I still really like the show. So I know that if I decided to go read a bunch of Stephen King, I would appreciate the show on a whole different level. But it works even if you haven't.
Absolutely.
So put it on your list, people.
Yep.
So number 6 on my list is probably my only family movie on this list, and it's Paddington 2.
Oh.
It is adorable. It is absolutely adorable. I haven't seen the first one. I didn't even read the books. It's just a movie I kept hearing was very cute. It was streaming. I was trapped here in my house because the fires up north and the smoke. So we were all kind of like trapped in our house for like 48 hours. And I put on Paddington 2, and my son and I watched it. And it is so cute and fun and inviting and easy to watch. And I just don't think they make live action family movies anymore that are like this. It's, you know, when you think family movie, you think animation, right? So you think like Pixar and Disney and stuff. But this is a live action movie. It's got Hugh Bonneville from Downton Abbey. It's got Sally Hawkins from The Shape of Water. It's got Brendan Gleeson, Julie Walters, Jim Broadbent, and this is the best part, Hugh Grant playing a villain who's an actor. So, and he just plays all these different parts kind of throughout the show or throughout the movie. It's just really fun and sweet. And Paddington he's just a nice character who always means well. You know, he's not mean. The movie's not mean. It's not nasty. It was just a pleasure. I don't know another way to describe it other than it was just an adorable pleasure. And my kid loved it. And it had all these things that my son super loves, you know. So my son is obsessed right now with Big Ben. So,
really?
Yes. He's been watching like YouTube videos where they explain how Big Ben works and all this stuff. So he's been watching. He loved that there's Big Ben. He's obsessed with ceiling fans. There's some stuff in here with ceiling fans. There's a big like climactic thing on a train. He's very into trains. It's like they made a movie for my son, basically. And it totally worked on us. We were into it. It's really, really good. And I don't think you don't have to be like a kid to like it. It's very enjoyable. It's not stupid, is what I'm saying.
I heard great things about it. I heard it got great reviews, and I heard from my friends, like, even if you don't have kids, you would totally love this movie. And I will take your word for it.
Yeah.
So that's all I can add to the conversation.
Well,
I have no idea.
Because kid movies are stupid.
Oh,
they're
lame.
So fucking stupid. They're just like, you know, fart jokes and like pratfalls, and they're just dumb. And this movie's not dumb at all, and it's not mean, which means a lot to me. Like, I don't like to show my kid movies where people are just mean, because then he's like, cool, I'll be mean too. So we don't do that. We try to watch movies where people have good qualities, and this is one of those movies.
That's awesome.
So what's your number 5?
So mid-list here.
We're halfway through.
We're halfway through. So HBO, and this was a comedy that was recommended me by a friend, and he says, I know you're going to watch them all in one day. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. It's Barry.
Oh, I haven't watched it yet.
Okay.
You have such a good list.
Oh, it's Bill Hader, who I love.
I love Bill Hader.
He played Stefan on Saturday Night Live. He had those sketches. And Henry Winkler. And see, here's the thing. Bill Hader plays a guy who's a contract killer, and he has a military past, but he wants to get out of that business, and he wants to be an actor. And so he enrolls in these acting classes, and it takes place in LA, and Henry Winkler is the acting teacher. And we talked about Henry Winkler, by the way, we were talking about An American Christmas Carol.
Right. Yeah.
He just won an Emmy for this performance. He plays the acting teacher, his coach, his mentor. And the episodes are a half hour long, and they're fucking funny as shit. It is so funny. It's got some violence, you know, it is about a contract killer, like he kills people sometimes, and I hate that whole trope, you know, the contract killer who's really like a nice guy. He doesn't want to kill people, but what you gonna do?
Right.
Like I hate that, but it totally works here. And Henry Winkler, he's so funny. The acting scenes where there's the actors, like these different scenes that they're doing for each other, they're great. It's a great thing about LA. It's a great thing about the entertainment business. The only one thing, there's like a scene that happens in the last episode I saw coming a mile away. And that's the only thing I was like a little disappointing. But other than that, it was, I tore through it in an afternoon. There's like 8 episodes, they're 30 minutes each. And it was funny. It's worth me. I almost canceled HBO because I was getting sick of it, but I'm glad I kept it now.
That's high praise.
Yes. So because of that, so Barry, that's my number 5, Barry.
Okay, well, you have me sold on the 8 episodes, 30 minutes.
Yep. You will tear right through them. And it's funny. It's funny as shit. Trust me.
I love Bill Hader. It really has.
Too.
It really has been on my list. But I think similar to what you said about the hitman with the heart of gold kind of thing was like, it didn't make me like run out to watch it, basically.
Do you remember Grosse Pointe Blank?
Oh, yeah.
I went there with friends, and the 3 of us walked out there like, I thought that sucked. Like everybody else our age loved it. And I love John Cusack, by the way. And I like Minnie Driver. She's adorable. Get ready to drink. I think the soundtrack is great, but I was just like, I'm not buying it.
Yeah.
It's like, I didn't buy the premise. Like, I never think, like, I'm never scared of John Cusack. Whereas here I get when Bill Hader is in kill mode, like, oh yeah, there you go.
Right.
And I think it was smart to put maybe the PTSD in there, like being a military guy, like maybe that's what's fueling it. That makes more sense.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I don't think they ever explain it very well in Grosse Pointe Blank.
No,
why he does what he does.
He shrugs with his hands in his pockets, just kind of walks around. And I'm scared. I love John Cusack, but it's one of the ones I was like, okay, this is a little too twee.
That movie's all about Minnie Driver for me, actually.
Yeah.
She's the best
She's
thing
awesome.
in that movie.
Yeah.
I love her.
I get it. Me too.
So number 5 on my list is Black Klansman.
Oh, I knew it would be.
Okay. So not on your list. It's directed by Spike Lee, starring John David Washington, that is Denzel's son, and Adam Driver and Topher Grace as David Duke. And it's based on this true story of Ron Stallworth. He was the first African-American police officer in Colorado Springs. This was like in the late 70s. This was like yesterday. No, late 70s. But this is the best. He infiltrated the Ku Klux Klan. And how he does it is really clever. And I just think the movie was really like, it's angry, but it's really funny at the same time. And it's like the most accessible Spike Lee has been in a really long time. He's made a lot of movies that didn't work for me or didn't speak to me or just didn't feel like they were for me. Mm-hmm. I really like this one. When it was over, I kept thinking a lot about American Crime Story, the People versus OJ, and how we're watching a lot of things now. We have a lot of movies and TV shows where we're looking back at like past events through a modern sensibility, and this is doing that too. It's showing us how we were to shed light on why we are the way we are now. And it ties to a lot of the things that are going on right now, especially with Charlottesville and things like that. It's really well done. I think John David Washington's really great in it. And I think Adam Driver is really great in it. And he's one of those actors that, like, I don't know, people kind of shit on him, I think. And, especially people who didn't like dig on him in the Star Wars movies. I think he's fine in those movies. I think he's really great in this because he's, he basically is playing the John David Washington character to the Ku Klux Klan. But he's also like a secret Jew, basically. So he's secretly Jewish. And like watching him, like, I don't know, struggle with like having to like be around these people and hide who he is. It's really well done. It's such a good movie. I really enjoyed it. You recommended that I see it, and I really did love it. And it's been a long time since I've liked a Spike Lee movie too. I wish he worked more. I wish he was more active. I think maybe he just takes on things that he's in that position. He can do that. I think Adam Driver is hilarious in this movie. I like him in the Star Wars movies, by the way. People who don't can go to hell, as far as I'm concerned. I think he's great.
I thought he was hilarious on Saturday Night Live. Like whenever he's on Saturday Night Live, I think he's funny.
Yeah.
I think he's very funny in this movie.
I liked him in Girls too. I didn't finish Girls. I bailed on that one, but
yeah, I bailed on that one early.
Yeah, she annoyed me, but I liked him.
Yeah, I think that's a great choice, and the soundtrack is really good too.
It is. Yeah. It's a really good one, and I mean, I'm trying to think of the last Spike Lee movie I liked. Might have been like Inside Man. That's like 12 years ago, 15 years ago, or something. So
I had a friend visit me recently, and we were talking about movies, and I said something, and I made the reference, oh, your friend lives in Bed-Stuy, Do the Right Thing. And she just looked at me, and I'm like, Do the Right Thing? She says, what are you talking about? Like, you've never heard of Do the Right Thing, the movie?
Oh my God.
I know. So I know. It's just one of those, like, but then I have to think, what was 30 years ago? She was probably 8. Like, why would
her
her
mom
Midwest.
Didn't take her? My mom would have totally taken me to Do the Right Thing.
Your mom would have taken you in a second. That's one of my favorite movie openings ever, like title sequence.
Yes.
Is Rosie Perez dancing. Oh, yeah.
She's amazing in it.
Oh, she's awesome.
That movie's on our list, right? On our list to talk about?
Yeah, we should. I think I did. I think I put it on there.
Yeah. Okay, good.
Yeah. Okay. So you ready for number 4? And this might be higher on your list, so you tell me. So my number 4 is A Star is Born.
Okay, that's on my list higher up.
Okay, so we'll wait for that.
Okay. So then we'll go to my number 4, which is Wild Wild Country.
Oh, great choice.
I was obsessed with this one when it dropped on Netflix. It's a 6-part documentary series about this Indian guru called Rajneesh, I think is how you, and then I think he changed his name to Osho. And he has this personal assistant named Sheila. And they basically take over this small Oregon town. And this was all happening in like the 70s and 80s. And this is another one where I was like, I can't believe I never heard of this. The story is so crazy. So they basically, this cult, at first like it was like a community thing, right? So they all like move into this like small, like on the outside of this small town, and they're really minding their own business. And then the small town folk are like, fuck that community. We want them out of here. So they're trying to get them to leave. And in the process, the community's like, we're not leaving. In fact, we're going to run for your like city government. They do. They take over the government. And at first you're like, ha ha, that's what you get, small town folk. And then the show just changes. And you realize, like, so at first you're like, yeah, fuck small town people. And then it's like, oh my God, what is that community doing? Like, they take it too far. So then your allegiance kind of changes, and then it changes again, and it changes again. And where this documentary goes, I just couldn't believe it. It's bananas to me. It like boggled my mind that I had never heard this story before, because it's another one where you think it's one kind of story, and then it's totally different and much worse than you think it's going to be. It's crazy.
They start messing with the town. Like the town is threatening them. So the people on this compound, they create this germ that they put on the food, and they give all these people food poisoning. They put on the salad bar.
Yes.
And they send all these people to the hospital. And then Sheila, who emerges as a star, even though she's an incredible sociopath, I think. But she's someone, she did her time, and then you find out what's she doing now? Oh, she's taking care of old people in Switzerland. Like, what?
Yeah. Well, and what's crazy is like how she was the spokesperson for this guru, right? So then they show her like she's on like the Tonight Show and Dick Cavett Show and all these talk shows promoting this like really crazy cult, and like nobody's really calling her out on it because it's like entertainment or whatever. I wonder if that reminds us of anybody. And when they were like, well, what if this town doesn't want you here? And then she on TV says, well, that's just tough titty. And I'm like, it like made me laugh so hard. Like on TV, she's like, tough titties.
She's a star.
She really is.
She's scary as anything, but she's a star. And yeah, that was gripping. And that was one of those documentaries you go through like in a day, and then you got to go back and watch it again.
I watched those so fast. I stayed up way past my bedtime to watch these. I remember I went out one night and came home. It's like 11 o'clock at night, and like had to watch one more before I went to bed. It's ridiculous how much I was into it because it's fascinating, and I wanted to know where it was going, what was going to happen next. So that's my number
awesome.
4.
That's awesome. Okay, so my number 3, it's a Netflix comedy special, and it's Ali Wong and
so
Hard Knock Wife.
It's so funny.
She had a special 2 or 3 years ago called Baby Cobra, and she had to go on Groupon to sell the seats.
Right.
Like it was like her Hail Mary with her career. Like she was super pregnant then. And so she's super pregnant in this special. And I don't care about childbirth.
Right.
I'm a single woman. I don't, it's just not my thing that I'm into. And all she does is talk about, being pregnant, trying to have sex when you're pregnant, giving birth, how gross it is.
Yes.
Like
because it's fucking
weird,
gross.
It's gross. And just how weird you feel from your body afterwards. And then and it is the funniest goddamn thing. I was howling laughing. I thought she was so hilarious. I watched it a bunch of times. She's awesome. She's this beautiful Asian woman with these red glasses and a tight leopard print dress. She's like 7 or 8 months pregnant.
Can she film a comedy special when she's not pregnant? Is there like a law or something that she has to film when pregnant?
And she's just so confident.
Yes.
Like I love confidence. Like you have to have that in comedy. And she has so much confidence and just like, I mean, it was funny as shit. It was just like absolutely one of my favorites this year. So that's my number 3, Ali Wong, Hard Knock Wife.
That is a really awesome pick. I wish I had thought of that one because that one made me laugh stupid hard.
Yeah.
When I watched
She's great.
She's so great. So number 3 on my list might be on your list too. Let's see. Won't You Be My Neighbor?
I haven't seen it. I'm scared it's going to make me cry.
It is going to make you cry. Okay, so this is the documentary done by Morgan Neville, who did 20 Feet from Stardom, and this is the one about Mr. Rogers, who, if you somehow don't know who Mr. Rogers is, I don't know how to help you. But he hosted a children's program from like 1963 till 2001, and then they brought him back actually right after 9/11 to talk to kids about 9/11. There's all these interviews with cast members and crew members and his wife and his grown children, and they cut it with footage from the show and like old interviews of Mr. Rogers, and it's just one of the best things I saw this year. Like he was so decent and so kind and so really just wanted to help children and listen to them and talk to them and help them understand things and figure out what they needed to help, just such a good person. Like that's, I think, what everyone's responding to when they're watching, because it's making everybody cry. Like I saw it at the Alamo Drafthouse. Everyone cried. Everyone. Throughout the whole thing, it was like therapy. Like everyone was just the whole thing, because he's so good and he's so decent, and we need that so desperately right now. And it was just it's the best thing I've seen. I loved it.
I have a feeling I was having a tough year, and I don't know if I grew up with Mr. Rogers. I don't know about you.
Yeah.
But I remember him. He's one of my earliest memories is watching him on television. My parents thought he was great. And then just to find out he actually was a good person, and he wasn't fake.
Yeah.
And the empathy that he emphasized.
That's a great word there. Empathy. The empathy he had.
Yeah. It's just, do you remember, like he had Margaret, what's her last name? She played the bad witch in Wizard of Oz.
I forget her last name. But
I'm sorry, you guys. But he had her on the show, just to talk about, well, which could be a boy or a girl.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it doesn't matter. And just he was so warm and wonderful.
Yes.
And I just, like, the world is such a shithole in so many ways that I don't know if I could take it. I think, like, my heart is just, like, not ready to. But it's on my queue.
Yeah.
I'm gonna watch it, but I know I'm gonna cry my eyes out.
I had, like, mixed feelings in that part of me, it, like, restores my faith in humanity, but it also bums me out about the current state of humanity.
Right.
Because for the exact reason you said, that to realize that someone that you thought was a really good person really was a good person seems very rare and special. And just some of the things he did, like, you know, there was about, like, civil rights, and, you know, he would just talk so honestly about stuff like that. Or, you know, he'd have kids with special needs on his show, or he would answer, like, mail from the kids, and they would ask questions about his fish, and he would talk about, like, the fish. And sometimes he did an episode where, like, for like 10 minutes he didn't even talk at all, which is bananas. If you watch kids shows now, they're all like and music and lights, and it's so busy. And the idea that for 10 minutes it's just this man, like, putting on a sweater and, like, feeding his fish and it's so good. It will make you cry, though.
I have to be on a day I could probably, like, I might need to lie down afterwards. Like, it's going to be a whole thing. I will watch it, and everybody tells me how wonderful it is. I know I will watch it, but I know it's going to make me cry my damn eyes out.
It really will. Let's go on to your number 2, which was my number 7. Or my number 8.
So A Star is Born?
Oh, no, your number 2. I thought your number 2 was...
Oh, my number 2 is Black Panther.
Yes, which was my number 8.
Oh, I love this movie so much. I saw it at Alamo Drafthouse opening weekend, packed audience. Nobody says a word the entire time. Like, because you're just totally into it. It has Angela Bassett, Chadwick Boseman. The music's amazing. The action sequences are amazing. It's an African-American cast. Brian Coogler directed it. I don't even know what to tell you guys. Like, I just thought it was amazing. It was just, like, absolutely my favorite.
It was definitely
the authorities are coming. You hear that?
You're under arrest, Margo. This should have been your number 1. It's the best Marvel movie this year.
Yeah.
Here they come.
Hold on.
There they go.
Sorry, you guys. I live between a firehouse and a hospital.
It's okay.
Okay.
We're real people, you guys, and we have lives, and people make noise. It is my favorite Marvel movie of the year. I know everyone will probably say Infinity War. I love Black Panther. I think everyone loves Black Panther, but one of the main things I loved about it, I think, was, and this became a reoccurring theme on my list, which was the women in this movie are fucking badass. They're awesome. So you already mentioned Angela Bassett, and then there's Lupita Nyong'o, who she's like a spy for Wakanda. There's the woman who leads, like, the army. She plays Michonne on Walking Dead. It's like Diana Guerrera or something like that. Sorry, everybody. I suck at that. And then Letitia Wright, who plays Black Panther's sister. She's legit, like, the smartest person in the entire Marvel universe. She's a fucking genius, and I just love her so much. She's got, like, just such a fun personality. I couldn't not look at her when she was on screen. And they were just these, like, fully formed female characters that were super badass, and I hadn't had that feeling since Wonder Woman, you know?
Right. Same here.
And he kind of was like a co-star in his own movie, because I really think he is overshadowed by the women and the villain. And I think the villain's really great too, actually. So it's Michael B. Jordan, who plays the villain Killmonger, who not only is Michael B. Jordan just super charismatic, like, he had a motivation that made sense. You know, it wasn't just I feel like a lot of these are just like the MacGuffin, you know, with Alfred, and that is not this at all. What he wanted to do was, like, it actually made sense. He was just going about it the wrong way.
Yeah, he's one of the ones, like, he gives the reasons why he's mad at the Black Panther. Like, oh yeah, that makes a shitload of sense. You're right. We forgot about the neighborhoods. We forgot, the ghetto. We've forgotten about all the African American communities that are struggling. Yeah. And we should be in there.
And then at the end, like, Black Panther is actually going to do all the things he wanted to do. It's just Killmonger wasn't going to do it the way it needed to be done. Basically, is what it came down to. But it's such a good movie.
It's wonderful. I've seen it a whole bunch of times since then.
Yeah, it's on Netflix, so yeah, it's one of those that you can put it on whenever and watch it until you can't anymore, and then come back to it. It's the best.
And the music is fantastic. Yeah. I have the soundtrack. It's great.
Oh, it is a good one, and it's the cinematography is really awesome too, and it's I think it might be one of the first Marvel movies shot by a woman.
Yeah,
like
Rachel
Morrison.
Yeah, she did Mudbound.
Yes.
And she was first woman nominated for an Oscar, I think, if not ever, in a long time.
Yeah, for cinematography, which is bananas.
Yeah. It's that's just total bullshit.
Yeah, total bullshit. But it does look really great too. So that was
beautiful.
Your number 2. My number 2 is Hereditary.
I knew it would be. Call me psychic.
I have a feeling you didn't like this one as much as I did.
I think I need to see it again. I think I don't know if my expectations were too high or what. I didn't enjoy it as much as everybody else. And I think I need to go back to it, but I need some time. You go ahead.
This is directed by Ari Aster, and it stars Toni Collette and Gabriel Byrne and Alex Wolff and Ann Dowd. And some of the reason I love this movie so much might be the environment in which I saw it, which was I saw it opening weekend at the Alamo Drafthouse with my 16-year-old niece who's super into horror movies. And this movie is weird and it's scary as fuck to me.
Yes.
And people in the theater were losing their goddamn minds. Like they were screaming, just like, ah! Like that kind of scream, like really scared. And when they weren't screaming, there was like this heavy breathing, like people were really, really scared. The movie, it's almost like an intense like family drama where you're like, oh, this is awkward, or and like, but really intense. And then this movie goes batshit insane in the like last 30 minutes. And people were freaking out in the theater, and I just super loved it. And I like scary movies. This is something that came to me only recently. Like basically when I went to go see It last year, I was like, oh, I like horror movies. So I've been going back and seeing more horror movies because I'm a late bloomer, I guess. I'm like, I like being scared of things that aren't the news. Yay. So I went, really wanting to love it, and I did love it. And I think Toni Collette is super amazing in it. And all these award nominations are coming out, and she's not on the list. And I'm keep tweeting. I'm like, these lists are incomplete because Toni Collette should be on them because she's really, really good in this movie because you really don't know where the movie's going to go. You don't know if she's sane or insane, what's real, what isn't. It's a totally batshit insane movie. I get it. It's definitely not for everybody, but I really, really liked it and thought it was super scary.
I think I got sold the wrong way with this movie because I thought
I was told it was a comedy.
I was told it was a family drama. It's not really a horror movie. And then I love this. Somebody on Twitter said, "Oh yeah, it's like Ordinary People with decapitations."
Yeah, no. I don't know who these assholes are who are like, it's not a horror movie. I'm like, did you see the movie?
And I think that was what made me mad because I'm like, no, this is Rosemary's Baby.
Yeah.
This is, that's the twist. Like, it's exactly, I think it is.
It's exactly Rosemary's Baby. Like that type of movie where you think it's one thing and then it goes off the fucking rails. Like it's that kind of movie. I like that kind of movie. I thought it was really good. So, yeah, if you're going in thinking it's going to be just this intense family drama and then it turns into something totally different, you're in for a disappointment.
Yeah, so I think that was my problem. So I was just like, so I think that was it. I'm going to go back to it. I thought it was I liked parts of it, but I went in there thinking this is going to be hard, but it's more of a family drama. And then I'm like, oh no. This is it's like they need Ruth Gordon just coming in there at some point. Yeah,
it's a very strange movie, and I can see why it works for some people and for some people it doesn't. Some people really like that first half, and they want it to be that throughout the end. That's what they want, and I get it, but that's just not what it is. So you got to take it for what it is. And what it is my number 2.
Oh, it's just batshit for me. That's all. I just like it. But I think it's one of those movies I know I'll go back to, and then I know I'm going to see a bunch of times, and then I'm going to really like it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I just think it hit, like I said, it was ordinary people with decapitations, which I wasn't prepared for and I wasn't in the mood for. So I think I'm going in there now.
My niece and I still like talk about this movie and make jokes about it. And I don't want to share the jokes because I don't want to spoil it for people, but
no,
it's
I already
funny.
did, but
you didn't spoil too much. What's your number 1?
So my number 1 is a Netflix comedy special. And everybody talked about it, and it's controversial for some people, but it's Hannah Gadsby, Nanette.
I feel stupid that I didn't put that on my list now. That's such a good pick, but I'm glad it's on your list.
Well, thank you. So I hate the criticism that she's the opposite of Ali Wong, who's doing like full on jokes.
Yes.
Yeah, set up punchline jokes. Vulgar, all that stuff. She's more quiet. She's more deliberate. It's so at first you're kind of like, this is a comedy special. It's a little quiet. Like I said, she's 40. I think she's been in comedy about 10 or 15 years. And then she just keeps dropping every once in a while. I think I'm going to quit comedy because I can't do this anymore. But I'll explain that to you. And then you get to the last 10 minutes of her set, and it's like a sucker punch. Mm-hmm. Like you think it's going one way, and then she completely goes in another way. And the way she tries, and I hate this word deconstruct because people overuse it and abuse that expression, but she's really trying to deconstruct comedy.
Yes.
And she's trying to make us see, I don't know about you, I think I'm a couple years older than you, but I used to love comedy back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
When it was always on A&E and comedy, it was on Comedy Central all the time. Like comedy used to be everywhere. Mm-hmm. Oh, look the motorcycles here agree with me. So I remember as a kid, words like lesbian were used as a punchline.
Oh, yeah.
Gay people were a punchline. And you could just make certain kinds of jokes. And I didn't realize how white male-centered comedy was forever. Mm-hmm. And then somebody comes along and says, you know what? I don't want to be your fucking punchline anymore. It's not okay with me. And I'm going to be funny without all that. And and then really making you look like, oh, that's right. Comedy is like they take the setup and then the joke, and then you miss the whole middle part. And you also miss what happens after that. Mm-hmm. Right. And she's making you really think about the people who are in the margins, and especially in the world we live in now with the kind of people who are in charge. And I don't mean just politically, I mean CEOs.
Yeah.
Les Moonves today finally got his ass fired.
Fuck that guy.
After all these years, fuck that guy.
To quote your other show, fuck that guy.
Yes. Seriously, fuck that guy. That's Best Neighbors. But I mean, and some people, of course, dudes especially, were saying like, oh, this is like a TED Talk. This isn't a real comedy special. She's not doing one like that, like used to. Yes, There is a lesson there. There's some medicine that she's giving you, and she's putting some sugar with it so you'll pay attention. But she does it in front of like how many? It's like 2,000 people, 3,000 people. It's a big space. That's not easy. And I watched it. It just was such a sucker punch to me. I watched it a couple times, and then when I was injured and I had people come over and visit me, I'm like, "Have you seen Nanette? We're gonna watch Nanette right now." Like I've seen this like a half a dozen times now, and every time I show it to people, like, "Oh my God, that was brilliant." I just think she changed things.
Yeah,
I think the world is different. I think the comedy world is different. Even though some people are gonna, middle-aged white boys clutching their pearls, like, no, I hate PC, I hate blah blah blah.
Fuck those guys too.
fuck them. Yeah, I think she's changed things, and I think she's brilliant. And I'm interested to hear what else she has to say about other things. And so that's my number one. It's Hannah Gatsby, Nanette.
That is an amazing pick. I just recommended that again to someone this weekend, to my sister, to watch with my nieces because they haven't watched it yet. And I was like, you're raising a couple of teenage girls. You should be watching this. This is important. And I just think she's so amazing. And the idea that these guys are like, well, no, it's not really a comedy special. It's like, fuck you.
Fuck you. Why do you get to set the rules for everything?
These fucking assholes who just think like everything has to be exactly for them. And when something's not exactly for them, then it shouldn't be for anybody. And that's what they think. And it pisses me off and I hate it.
It drives me crazy when I hear a middle-aged guy bitch about being PC culture, especially like a comedian.
Right.
They're just, I can't talk about this or this anymore. Like, you know what? Things change in life for everybody. As a teacher, as anything you do for your job, you change with the times or you're going to be left behind. And it's the same thing with comedy. If you can't keep up with the times, that's your fucking fault.
Yeah.
It's not the audience's fault that you can't appeal to 20-year-olds anymore. Fuck you.
It's like these assholes who are like, why can't I say the N-word? They can say the N-word. I'm like, why the fuck do you need to say the N-word so bad? Asshole.
I remember, do you remember, like, I'm sorry, I'm going to really be controversial here, but I remember like 20 years ago, Bill Hicks was like this comedian, like, he died. Oh my God. And he was so brilliant. And then you go back to it, I'm like, he's just another white guy mansplaining things to everybody else. So he's never had children telling people how to raise kids. You know, white boys really like being in charge.
They do.
They don't want to give it up.
So I don't know if you saw this, but recently, so they're redoing, it might even be on Netflix right now. They're doing like a new She-Ra. Do you know this?
Oh.
And all these like white guys are all mad because she's like not sexy enough or whatever. And everyone's like, this shit's for kids, assholes. It's not for you. Why does everything have to be for you? This is not for you. Maybe Nanette, it should be for you, but because you should have a brain and want to learn things and learn how to be a decent human being, but maybe it's not for you. Not everything's for you, you big baby.
You don't set the stand. They're used to setting the standard.
Yes.
If they think something stupid, it's stupid. If they don't think it's funny, it's not funny. If they don't think it's sexy, it's not sexy. And why do you get to set all those rules?
Right. Welcome to the new Dorking Out show, you guys. We don't give a fuck.
We don't give a fuck. I will piss all over your. And I used to listen to it too. And then somebody told me, you know, he actually says some weird things about young teenage girls that you wouldn't. And so I went back and listened to his comment. Like, oh yeah, that used to be totally okay for, you know, to leer all over young women, too young to give consent and stuff. I'm like,
gross.
Why does he fucking have to? Yeah, I know. He's such a victim. Oh, you know, sometimes people didn't laugh at his jokes. Stop it.
Oh, poor him. It's so terrible.
Poor him. And he died of cancer, and cancer sucks and all that. But just like it's, I don't know. I just think she's the right person at the right time.
I agree.
And I just think she's awesome. And I can't wait to hear and read. She got a book deal from this, and she's going to do other things. And so he's like, get her to host the Oscars. Like, she's too clever for the Oscars. It would just go way over their heads.
Right.
But anyway,
and
that's my number one.
And they would never pick her because they need like a straight white man, apparently. Or not even white man, just straight man, I guess.
They had one, Kevin Hart, but then he refused to apologize for his homophobic tweets.
Yeah. And
then quit, and then apologized when he quit.
Yeah.
Which is all they wanted in the first place.
Right.
But
good job,
anyway.
Kevin Hart.
Yes.
So now my pick is going to sound pretty frivolous, and you already know what my pick is. So my number one is A Star Is Born, because I am a white woman in my 40s. I love this movie. Margo and I did a whole episode about it, and all the other Star Is Borns as well. I think I'm just in love with this movie.
I love it too.
I haven't stopped thinking about it since I saw it. I listened to the soundtrack nonstop. I think the scene in which Bradley Cooper brings Lady Gaga's character on stage for the first time to sing the song that she wrote is like my favorite scene in a movie this year. And the movie just made me feel all the things, basically.
Same thing.
You know, I appreciate that. And I know it's one of the things that some people have said they don't like about it. They don't like that it's so melodramatic or whatever, but I think that that's okay, and I like that. I just thought Lady Gaga was just so brilliant in the movie. I really, really loved this movie, and I had the idea that like I would see a movie, super love it, cry, listen to the soundtrack for like weeks after means it's something that I really love. So it had to be number one.
It was one of my favorites I saw this year, and Andrew Dice Clay is in this movie, and I loved him. That's how much I love this movie. Like it's got great songs, characters you really care about. They just don't make adult movies anymore.
That's the thing. It's for adults.
It's for grown-ups.
Yeah, and I like that.
Yeah, and then their love story was beautiful, and you know, she's a superstar. Bradley Cooper is a revelation to me.
Yes, same here.
I've liked stuff he's been in before. I've never been like, oh, I got to see the Bradley Cooper movie.
I've been indifferent.
And he directed this.
Yeah, I've been indifferent to Bradley Cooper in the past. I'm like, yeah, sure. Yeah, the guy who was in Alias. He's in the A-Team movie. Sure. Like, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, he you know, but he was doing movies that I know other people super love, like Silver Linings Playbook or whatever that other one, American something or other. The one with Amy Adams.
Sniper.
Yeah, that one.
No, the American Hustle.
An American Hustle. Look, American Sniper, American Hustle, all those. All the American movies, he's in those. You know, and I know people super love those and that he's quite good in those, but he didn't really click for me. And he really clicked for me in this one. I just thought he was so great. And it's got Sam Elliott. I love Sam Elliott. I think he's so, so, so good in this movie. I just absolutely adored it. And I couldn't stop talking about it for weeks afterwards.
I watched all the A Star Is Borns.
You did.
After that,
I still haven't watched the one from the 30s.
You've got to one day. I mean, when you have some time, it's not a must see, but it's really fun. But yeah, it was one of my favorite movie experiences. And like I said, I had an injury. Like I had to go in there with a walker and a cast on my foot. Like not ideal circumstances.
Dedication.
And I was completely like taken away. I loved it. I love every scene. I know I'll watch this over and over again when it comes out. And
I know I will
win
too.
A bunch of awards. Yeah, I think it'll be one of my favorites forever. And I think, and it's his directorial debut. My God,
I know.
He did a great job.
What an amazing debut.
Yeah, I'm interested
really
to hear what other stories he wants to tell us. Yeah.
Do you have any other like honorable mentions or anything?
Yeah, let me go through my honorable mentions. Queer Eye for the Straight Guy.
Love it.
Reboot. Loved it. I liked the Solo movie. You didn't like the Solo movie. Homecoming on Amazon. I thought that was really good.
That's still on my list.
Julia Roberts is fine. People keep going on and on about she's fine. The Haunting of Hill House. That was a real close one for me.
Yeah. I haven't finished it yet. That's why the reason it's not on my list yet, because I'm only halfway.
Yeah, it's that one really messed me up. It gets better as it goes along, but that was really close to being there. And then I had The Crown. Did that season come out this year?
I think so. I'm behind. I just started the first season of The Crown, but I think that new season was this year.
And then the rest are there's a Charles Manson documentary.
They're so funny.
Because I'm such a weirdo. BoJack Horseman's always really great.
Yes.
Those. I mean, I had a couple of them that were my disappointments. My Next Guest with David Letterman. I love Letterman, but I just he has this format where you can ask anybody anything, and he's at an age where he shouldn't give a shit.
Right.
And he still kind of hides behind his own bullshit from CBS. You know, like he had Tina Fey on, and he says, I don't know, perhaps there's no answer to this question, but what do you think about more women being, women wanting to be asked to be in the comedy rooms? And she's like, I would have loved to have been on your show. Like, all my friends would love to write for your show. I'm like, David, you hire more women.
Right.
That's the answer.
Yeah. We solved it.
Solved it. Another white boy.
David Letterman.
But it's a slight disappointment. And then Sharp Objects. I was really hoping that would be, I feel like there's 3 great episodes for that one. I really liked that book, but,
That one's still on my list, too.
It did need to be 8.
Because it's, I know it's a big fucking downer, so
it was a huge
I can't work up the motivation to watch it, even though I really want to watch it. So
you should try to check out at least a couple of episodes just to get the feel for it, but I don't think you need to watch all of them. And what's on yours?
So mine is the 2nd season of Glow, which another one that I just power through. Like, I can't stop myself from watching them all within 48 hours. I super love Glow. It's so easy to watch. It's so fun.
Yep.
I really like the characters. I super care about them. It's a really, really good show. I loved the 2nd season of The Staircase.
Oh, I didn't see that.
It's on Netflix right now. I watched the 1st season when it was first on the Sundance Channel back in 2007 or 8. And then rewatched the 1st season before watching the 2nd season. And it's so good and so interesting. And, it's like pre-Making a Murderer, basically.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm into it. And, and I know you are too, because you're a true crime person. I also super loved A Quiet Place. I thought that was very good.
Yep.
I watched Searching the other night with John Cho, whose teenage daughter is missing, and it's all told through laptops and things like that, as he's breaking into her Facebook and things like that, trying to learn more about his daughter.
I haven't seen that.
It's quite good, actually. He's really, really great. I love John Cho. I think he's really great, and I thought it was a really good movie. I watched 8th Grade the other night, and that was really great.
I heard that was amazing.
It's super awkward. Even with social media, middle school is still awful, and there's a lot to relate there. Middle school's the worst. It's the worst, and it's
who likes it?
It's still the fucking worst. Spoiler alert: 8th grade's the fucking worst, but the movie's really good. And I watched Sorry to Bother You, which I also really liked, and that's a movie that goes in a really weird place. And that's all I'm gonna say about that one.
I don't even know that one.
It's with it's directed by Boots Riley, and stars Lake Stanfield and Tessa Thompson and Stephen Yu, and it's all filmed in Oakland here in the Bay Area. So I was kind of intrigued. It's a good one though. He's a black man who gets a job at a telemarketing firm and finds that he gets a lot of success when he uses his quote unquote white guy voice, and his white guy voice is David Cross.
Oh, okay. I saw the trailer for this.
Yeah, it's actually quite good, and the movie goes in a really weird place. And if you do watch it, please let me know so that we can talk about it, because it's weird.
I can't wait.
But it's good. It's a good one. It wasn't going to make this list, but I thought it was a very interesting movie, and I can see why other people super love it. It just goes to a weird place that I was like, oh, is that what we're doing? We're going there. Maybe the same way they all feel about Hereditary, but there you go. Well, that's a pretty good list. You had a good list.
You had a good list.
Thank you. I'm so glad that we had a lot of different stuff.
Yeah, me too. I'm glad we didn't say the same things over and over. That's what used to drive me crazy about Siskel and Ebert. Remember they do their top 10? It was always identical.
Right. It was 5 movies, right?
Right. And it was just the same ones. Yeah.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. So this was really fun, as always. Do you want to tell people where they can find you on the internet?
Yeah, the best place to find me is to look on social media for Brooklyn Fit Chick, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And you'll find me there. And my blog is brooklynfitchick.com.
And you can find Dorking Out Show at dorkingoutshow.com, and on Twitter at Dorking Out Show. And you can find me at The Sonia Show. And you can also find me at thesoniashow.com. That's my blog. And this is super fun as always. Yay!
I can't wait for our next episode. What are we going to do next? Do we know?
I don't know. Let's talk about it off the air. We don't want to. You guys don't need to see behind the curtain. So we'll just say goodbye.
Goodbye.